Hey, everybody, welcome back to another daily drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and the topic today is Carolina basketball, in particular, point guard Elliot Cadeau. The narrative since the regular season ended, or since the season ended when the Tar Heels lost to Alabama in the Sweet 16, the narrative about Cadeau is focused on several things. Not saying any of that's wrong. What I want to do is actually add to the discourse. So the focus here today is going to be three positives that I pulled from Cadeau's season that should make Carolina fans, give them a little bit more reason for optimism moving forward with Cadeau. And there's already a great deal of optimism as it is. Before I do that, very quick reminder, if you want it to be a Carolina Tar Heel insider and you want to be that person at work that knows more than anybody else, or at the bar or at the bowling alley, wherever you go, man, I don't know, wherever you go, golf course, whatever it is, 19th hole, you need to be a premium member to Tar Heel Illustrated. It's just $8.33 a month for a 1-year subscription. Just $8.33. That's the price of a drive-through. It's actually less than a drive-through now. So if you're a regular drive-through fast food guy at lunch, just once a month, don't go through there. And the money you save can be applied towards your 31 days at THI for the month, and you can't beat it. And it's the same price we've been since I took over this site almost 10 years ago. August 1st, 2014 was my first day. It's $8.33 a month then. It's still $8.33 a month now. And I dare you to find anything that's the same price it was then, without it basically losing all value. We have actually gone way up in value since I took over. All right, Elliot Cadeau, some positives. Apparently my dog is very interested in the Elliot Cadeau positives. You can see Mad Max down there, Mad Max the boxer. All right. The assists, to me, reflect the improvement of Elliot Cadeau, the actual numbers. And if you sit back and sort of squint your eyes and think back to the games, how you saw him play with his head up, and in connection with his teammates, and seeing guys and whipping more entry passes and quick passes out to the perimeter, skip passes, if you will. The way that he used his dribble to set some guys up more. He'll do it increasingly so as a sophomore, but he showed signs of those things. So the numbers bear it out. In the first 17 games, he had 4 or more assists 5 times. 4 or more assists 5 times in the first 17 games. In the last 20, he did it 10 times. Now, his playing time picked up for a while there in January. I think that was probably part of it, but why did it pick up? It increased because he was running the offense. It increased because he was seeing the floor better. He played more with composure. He still had turnovers. He had some rashes of heavy turnover games, a couple of 5 turnover games, but it wasn't like he was playing poorly. A lot of it was, a couple of things were easily correctable. A couple of things were trying to do a little too much. I don't mind that from a freshman sometimes because I want guys to stretch their games. Coaches want guys to stretch their games, see where they are with respect to what they're trying to do. I think we saw that from Elliot. So 4 or more assists, just 5 times in the first 17 games, 10 times in the last 20 games. And by the way, during that last 20-game period is when he had, I think, his 3 highest scoring games of the season as well. So there were times like at Miami when he goes for 18 points and has 5 assists. He's doing both in the same game. You're going to see more and more of that moving forward. The next thing are the fouls. Fouling was one of the key narratives. When I go read whatever it is, whether it's threads on Twitter, on our board, on Facebook, wherever it is, when people talk about Cadeau, someone pops in pretty quickly in the thread and says, he's got to stop fouling so much. He fouls way too much. He's got to get better defensively, and the fouls are an example why. Yes, there's truth to that. But here are the numbers. In Carolina's first 27 games, Elliot Cadeau averaged 2.7 personal fouls a game. In Carolina's last 10 games, which includes 6 postseason games, he averaged 2.0 personal fouls a game. His defense got better. The last game against Alabama, when he only played 13 minutes and didn't get off the bench the last 13 plus minutes or whatever it was of the game, I can't explain that. And I'm not going to bother trying to explain that. Still, if you just look at the game log, the fouls went down. And by and large, his minutes didn't. He was still playing a decent amount. He wasn't fouling as much. He was defending a little bit better. His body was staying in front of his man when he had the ball. And it's those off the ball defense that really improved. And as Hubert Davis will tell you, that's the most important part of defense, because you're playing off the ball 90% of the time, 85, 90% of the time when you're on defense. So you must be excellent there. And that improved. The fouls are an example that it improved. And with my third point, these go hand in hand. The fouls and the third point go hand in hand as an illustration of how much Cadeau got better. He was far more aggressive in the latter part of the season. He got on the floor more. He was more physical. He rebounded more. And he was playing more aggressively and fouling less. That means it was clicking up here. All right. So in Carolina's first 22 games, Elliot Cadeau grabbed 4 or more rebounds just one time. In Carolina's last 15 games, he did it 6 times. Repeat that. In Carolina's first 22 games, Elliot Cadeau grabbed 4 or more rebounds once. In the last 15 games, he grabbed 4 or more rebounds 6 times. It was also in the last 10 of that stretch in which he cut his fouls down by almost 1 foul a game. So he was more aggressive. You see that with the assist numbers. He was more aggressive. You see that with the rebounds, and yet he fouled less. So if you wrap those 3 things up together, that shows tremendous improvement in the really key areas that it takes time for young players to improve. And he showed that. And it was all later in the year. I expect that carryover into the offseason. These are things he will continue to work on, and he will start next season way ahead of where he was last season. Way ahead of where he was last season. That, to me, is reason for optimism for Carolina fans. If you're excited about connecting these 3 things together, showing clear improvement by Elliot Cadeau, go ahead and click like on this video. If you're optimistic about the sophomore season for Elliot, go ahead and click like as well. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you have not. Tell all of your Tar Heel friends, let them know we're here. Send them a link so they can subscribe, and remind them to hit the notification bell so they get updates every time we upload a video, which is often. And don't forget, guys, just $8.33 a month. It's a no-brainer. It's literally a drop in the bucket these days. Just $8.33 a month. You could be a Tar Heel expert too. I'm AJ, and I appreciate you stopping by.